In this video, I will show you how to make this totally awesome notebook and then also give you some basic stamping tips using close to my heart's polymer stamps and acrylic blocks. In this video, I'll be using the Totally Awesome stamp set, featuring a few cute little sentiments and then of course this adorable toad. Now for this stamp set, it comes with a thin cut, and that is just a metal die, and you will use it with a die cutting machine to die cut out your cardstock. Each stamp set comes with a foam insert, and then of course the stamp set. So to start stamping, you'll put your cardstock onto that foam insert, and then you'll pull out kneaded blocks. You want to make sure that your block is big enough for the image that you'll be using. So I've pulled out my block, and then I'm going to carefully remove the polymer stamp from its carrier sheet. You can see here that I'm not pulling or tugging, I'm just making sure to lift it from the carrier sheet. I usually like to put it down onto my surface and then apply my block to it. You can see here I'm seasoning the stamp set. Since it's brand new, this stamp image needs to be seasoned or remove the coating that is on the stamp. I'm just going to reposition this image just a little bit so all of those flowers are on my block. In this case, I'm going to be using intense black because I'm going to be using our alcohol markers to color the little toad and the flowers. You'll want to ink this up. The best way is twist, and then kind of a blot is what I call it. The good thing about acrylic blocks is you can see if your image is totally covered. It's not, so I'm just going to put it back into that black ink and then just press down a couple of times, and now I think I have full coverage. So I'm going to stamp it down onto that white daisy cardstock that has already been cut with the metal die. You'll want to go straight down onto your cardstock. Do not rock. Press down firmly, and then sometimes you'll need to pull the cardstock from your image. Perfect. So now we want to clean our image. I'm using our stamp chamois with just some water applied. I'm going to scrub all over this stamp image, and as you can see, the black ink somewhat stains the image. But don't fear, as long as you've cleaned it really well, it will not transfer onto any other projects. So again, you can see the black stain, but no transfer. After this, you'll want to gently peel it away from the block and replace it on the carrier sheet. Again, I'm not yanking it off or pulling, I'm just simply removing it from the block and then attaching it back to the carrier sheet. For this particular project, I am going to stamp my sentiment on this lemonade cardstock. I'm loving this one that says, "Have a totally awesome day." I think it's going to fit perfectly with the little lined notebook that I'm going to be adding this little toad to. Again, you'll want to pick the perfect block. I think that this 3-inch block will work. So I'm going to apply that sentiment. Again, I just put the sentiment down onto my work surface and pick it up with the block, and then make sure I season it with my hands. You can also use a rub and remove eraser if any of your stamped images are solid. Again, I'm inking it up into the black ink, making sure that it's got full coverage, and then going back to the ink and then stamping it on my project. Close to my heart's acrylic blocks make it really easy to see through to your project, and because you have the clear polymer stamp as well, you can see exactly what you're doing. I did clean that stamp off camera, and then of course I'm removing it from the block, attaching it to the carrier sheet, and putting all of the contents back into the envelope. This little sturdy envelope has a closure that doesn't add any bulk and then allows you to store it in any of your organizational tools. For all of the paper and cardstock that I'm using for this notebook, I am adding ink distressing around the edges. There are several ways to ink distress, and you'll find many of those here on my channel. I'm going to dovetail this one little piece of peach cardstock. To dovetail, I just cut up the center and then cut from each end to that center, and then it creates this perfect little dovetail or V. Again, I want to keep in line with the sponged edges, so I just added some peach ink. Now it is time to color this adorable little toad. I've pulled out several of my tri-blend markers from Spectrum Noir, and I love these because tri-blend, they have 3 basic ink levels: light, medium, and dark. This one I'm going to go ahead and start with the light and then color and then add the medium and the dark. There are several ways to use tri-blend markers, and I have several of those videos here on my YouTube channel. If you aren't already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and sign up for notifications by clicking that little notification bell so you'll be alerted each time I post a crafty video. I'm going to speed up the rest of this coloring, but basically these tri-blend markers, you just switch from the light to the medium into the dark. Again, there are several ways to color. I suggest maybe just researching it, or again, like I said, watch some more of my videos on coloring and decide what works best for you. For this frog, I wanted to take just a quick second and tell you what I'm doing. So I colored him all using the light end of the marker, and here I'm going back in just to the shading points with that mid color. And then I will take the dark color and I will just add small little tiny dots around the bottom of his feet and around the creases of his legs and his belly, and then up around his eyes. By adding dots, it's not fully coloring, but it also adds just some texture to his skin. And then we also know that toads do have sometimes those dots or those texture spots. After I added the dots, I went back to the light end of the Spectrum Noir and I finished coloring and blending. For that yellow flower, I'm taking my lemonade shimmer brush and I'm just going over the petals with that shimmer brush. Again, adding some shimmer to this adorable little frog. To complete the stamped image, I'm going to use my white gel pen and just add some highlighting marks to the leaves and then a couple of places around the frog's or the toad's feet. Now to finish off this adorable little piece that will go onto my notebook. I've cut several pieces of cardstock and pattern paper from the brand new catalog. I'll leave linked down below. This little circle is from one of our new die cuts, and it is mint cardstock, and I'm just going to attach it behind that Desert Rose cardstock piece. And then I'm going to add some silver shimmer trim behind that peach dovetailed piece. Again, since this was an afterthought, I need to just pick up part of that and then tuck it under. And then I will just add more adhesive later off camera. So for this little frog, I'm just going to add adhesive and then put him down pretty much centered on that shortbread piece of pattern paper that's in the back. For the dovetailed piece of the lemonade cardstock that has my sentiment on it, I'll be using 3D foam tape just to add dimension. I'm going to cut that peach piece down just a little bit, and again, keeping in line with the rest of the inked edges, add some sponging to that raw piece. Here is where this adorable little notebook comes into play. To repeat the same circled or rounded edge up at the top right, I'm going to take out my corner rounder and then just round that top right piece of that shortbread pattern paper. Because I rounded it, I do need to add some ink, and that was the direct to paper method. So I'm just going to turn this over on the inside cover, making sure that that is adhered really well. Then I'm pulling out some of my wooden pieces. I'm using the little wooden flowers. There's open flowers and then little daisies. Just going to pick out a couple of these and add them to this front cover, and then apply them with liquid adhesive. Using my tweezers makes it really easy. And of course, right here, I get just a little bit too much adhesive. So I'm just going to use that to apply adhesive to 2 of the other little wooden flowers. Again, this liquid adhesive dries really fast. So I'm just going to press down on those wooden flowers just for a second. And then I decided not to use that 4th one. To finish this little notebook off, I'm pulling out some of the clear glitter gems and applying those. They are self-adhesive, so it makes it really easy to apply. They come in 2 different sizes, so I'm going to be using both sizes. Small one, and then pull out the larger ones just for that bottom right of the notebook. Then I'm going to pull out some of the bitty sparkles that I had on hand. Again, these are tiny, but they're just going to add that extra little sparkle around those flowers and, of course, around that little fly. So there you go, a cute little notebook using basic stamping and then coloring with tri-blend markers from Spectrum Noir and adding a lot of bling. I will leave links down below to all the products, including these adorable little notebooks that come in all colors. Again, if you liked what you saw, please leave me a comment and a thumbs up. It helps YouTube show you more of the same, and it also helps my little channel out in the process. Have a great week, and thank you so much for stopping by and watching.